Good morning, this is Pamela Bluewater with J&S Biblical Productions. Many of you have heard the phrase, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." That was said by Abraham Lincoln on June 16, 1858 at the Republican State Convention at the State House. He went on to say that this country could not remain half slave and half free. However, this was not the first time these words were uttered. In Matthew chapter 12, verse 25, Jesus is quoted as saying, "Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand." We have invited back Alexandria Gulajaban with the Church of the Open Skies to the studio to explain what Jesus' words meant as applied now in 2020. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, Alexandria, would you take Jesus' words in the first century and tell us how they apply to our world today?
It's very easy. A kingdom or family cannot stand together unless they're in harmony. The different members must unite. If divided, if one part undoes what the other does, it must fall. The expression that President Abraham Lincoln used, and Jesus before him, "A house divided cannot stand," literally means that success comes from sticking together, and to do anything else will bring on disaster.
Okay, I think that sounds clear. Can you show us an example of that?
I'll show you a video I made on this. This is a hypothetical government building, which could be in any imaginary country or not, and any similarities between persons living or dead is purely coincidental.
Hi, would you deliver this bill we just passed in the House to the Senate so they can debate and pass it on? It has to do with taking care of the poor and the unemployed and the stimulus package.
Okay. How was the bill passed?
Well, 232 Democrats were in favor, 198 Republicans opposed. Majority passed it. The bill is very important to most Americans, so please help it get on the floor of the Senate, get passed, and signed by the President.
All right. I'll handle this right away. I'll take this bill to the Senate Majority Leader personally.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes?
Yes. Can you take this to the Speaker of the House right away before the next president gets elected? It's a bill to increase our salaries in a shorter time session.
All right. By how many votes was the bill passed?
53 Republicans in favor, 47 Democrats opposed. The majority won. We want you to give this to the Speaker of the House and get it passed right away so that the senators can go on vacation soon.
Don't worry. I'll handle this right away.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
So, Alexandria, is this usually how bills are passed, or what?
Exactly. It's a or what, for sure. The elected officials can do whatever the sitting president wants or not, but they have to do what their party leaders want because no one member can deviate from what they're supposed to be for or against. I'll show you what George Washington said in his farewell address in 1790 about political parties.
I have already intimated to you the danger of parties in the state, with particular reference to the founding of them on geographical discriminations. Let me now take a more comprehensive view and warn you in the most solemn manner against the baneful effects of the spirit of party generally. This spirit, unfortunately, is inseparable from our nature, having its root in the strongest passions of the human mind. It exists under different shapes in all governments, more or less stifled, controlled, or repressed. But in those of the popular form, it is seen in its greatest rankness and is truly their worst enemy. The alternate domination of one faction over another sharpened by the spirit of revenge natural to party dissension, which in different ages and countries has perpetrated the most horrid enormities, is itself a frightful despotism. But this leads at length to a more formal and permanent despotism. The disorders and miseries which result gradually incline the minds of men to seek security and repose in the absolute power of an individual, and sooner or later, the chief of some prevailing faction, more able or more fortunate than his competitors, turns this disposition to the purposes of his own elevation, on the ruins of public liberty. Without looking forward to an extremity of this kind, which nevertheless ought not to be entirely out of sight, the common and continual mischiefs of the spirit of party are sufficient to make it in the interest and the duty of wise people to discourage and restrain it.
But what about what Lincoln said, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth?
Miss Bluewater, I think that went out when Lincoln was assassinated. Every elected official can only vote for or against what his party is committed to.
Well, I guess that's just the way it works. It seems in your examples, this is the way nothing gets done because the House is divided and they want it this way. So I don't know what else to say.
I can think of something to say. There has to be a fourth branch of government that can be called into play in case of a tie vote. Let's call it the Supreme Council of Neutral Electorates. And they don't belong to any party, and they don't have to answer to anyone.
Well, Ms. Sedgway, you are ridiculous, but maybe you have a good point. You've shown us that a house divided against itself cannot stand. This is Pamela Bluewater for J&S Biblical saying Jesus was right in the first place. Heaven help us. Good morning.
What are your thoughts on today's story? We'd like to know. So leave a comment and subscribe to our channel, J&S Authentic Biblical Productions. Whether it's the Word of God through parables, true stories illustrating parables, or true stories in the life of Jesus Christ with commentary, you can see them all by subscribing to the most comprehensive collection of videos of biblical stories for you and your family. Have a blessed day.